Yo, look at this sweet Memnite. Full art. I didn't even know existed. Mirrored in is my favorite plane. Really sweet to have. And then also this Dust to Dust. Finishing out my play set. I've had 3 for the longest time. Finally have 4 now. These are the 2 cards that my buddy Derek traded me in exchange for this deck donation. Hi, I'm Marsh from StrataGames, and today we are finally playing Elves. You can all thank Derek and also my desire to have that Memnite and that Dust to Dust for us finally playing Elves. I've never once played this deck. And the reason, I'm sure a lot of you are aware, is it's not necessarily a deck that fits my playstyle a ton. I am a player who loves creatures and I love combat. And there's a good amount of that with Elves, but I also like a lot of interaction points. I like to have a lot of removal, counter spells, multiple choices and things like that. And I've historically thought that Elves didn't necessarily have enough of that, and so I haven't played it. But we'll see if I'm totally wrong about that and if I end up loving this deck. But either way, we will be taking it through a full league. So this is a pretty standard Elves list. This is the exact list that Derek sent over. We're playing 2 Elvish Mystic, 3 Fyndhorn Elves, 3 Llanowar Elves. And though I like this Kev Walker art quite a bit, we will certainly be playing with my favorites, this Chris Ron art. Now that we have that sorted, we also have 4 Quirion Rangers, 4 Masked Vandals, 4 Priests of Titania, 4 Timberwatch Elves, a playset of Lead the Stampede and Winding Way, as well as Avenging Hunter, Nyxborn Hydra. This list had snow-covered forests, so we'll be rocking with those, as well as a Gingerbread Cabin, 4 Generous Ents, 2 Land Grants, and 3 Sagu Wildlings. In our sideboard, we have Fairy Macabre, Spinewoods Paladin, Pulsa Marasa, V2 Ghazi Inspector, and Monstrous Emergence. So let's take this for a league and see how we do. Thanks to Card Market for sponsoring this video. I've written a comprehensive guide on how to play White Weenie in Pauper, including my ideal stock list, over 30 sideboard matchups, and a sideboard cheat sheet, which gives you a very easy snapshot view and what to sideboard for every single matchup. I also have guides for Black Sack and Esper Affinity. Each guide is only $15, and if you buy one, you will get all future updates that I ever make to that guide for free. I also offer coaching, so if you're interested in upping your Pauper game for any of the decks that I'm very proficient in, or if you're interested in having me play your deck in a future video, you can do a deck donation, which is the only way you'll ever see me playing Cycle Storm or Flickertron. All right, here we are, round 1. We have a Llanowar Elves. We then have, I guess I can Winding Way turn 2 with like cycling a Generous Ent or Saga Wildling. It doesn't seem like the best hand ever because we don't have Priest of Titania or any way to actually ramp it toward big guys, but Winding Way seems okay. I don't know. We'll give it a try. We're learning, obviously. We're learning and we're going to be crushed as we're against probably our worst matchup, assuming it is Mono Red Madness. If it's Rally, that's probably not great either, but it's probably a little bit better because there's slightly less removal, more creatures. Okay, it is Rally. I'm still prepared to just lose to them, but yeah, I can't block here. So what do? I could Timberwatch Elf. It probably dies to a Bolt. Maybe I could get a block off on a 1/1, or they Bushwhacker and I can't block at all. I could play a Nyxborn Hydra as a 2/3. It dies to a Bolt, but if it doesn't die to a Bolt, it can eat something. I could Winding Way to just try to find some more stuff. I feel like that seems bad. Could be the play, though. I could see that. These both die to Bolt either way, although Nyxborn doesn't die to Galvanic Blast, which they don't have Metalcraft for yet. I could wait a turn on the Nyxborn Hydra and then make it a 3/4, but like waiting a turn is just death, I think. I could Winding Way and I could play like another 1-drop, but I feel like I'd rather do that when I could maybe play a 2-drop. I think I go for the Hydra here. Just hope they don't have a Bolt or anything really. I guess I hope they just have like card draw that leads to mountains or whatever. Well, Synth is kind of what I was asking for. Rally. Good hit if they don't have a land, but if they do, I block here, I still take 5. Okay, they're letting us block. I'm going to block here. I mean, they could have an Axe, but that's going to trade on anything. Unless they're playing main deck and the Festivities, I don't think there's any reason to not block the Emissary here. Galvanic Blast. Yeah, that would trade either way. So I'm pretty okay with that trade, actually. I think I want to cycle the Generous Ent because I can cast the Wildling next turn, which gains me life immediately, as opposed to having more expensive creature and then food that comes later. So I think we're going to cycle this. And then I could just play Timberwatch. They didn't have a Bolt, but they could have another Galvanic. Could just lead the Stampede. Pretty bad if they have a Bushwhacker. We're taking 8 down to 3. It's kind of bad either way. If they have a Bushwhacker, I'd have to trade with this Elf, which I guess I might do. I don't know. It might be better. It doesn't feel like we have the time. It might be better to like take a turn off to draw a bunch, and then maybe the next turn we can flood the board with things. It just doesn't seem great, but it could be the right call. They had Burning Tree into Percussionist, Blood Token away a land. I mean, that's not bad. They can get in for 3, but my Timberwatch survives, and I'm not dead. And now we can Gingerbread and play a Sagu Wildling. So now I have 2 good blockers, plus I gain 3 life here. They have a Synth, turns up a Ren's Resolve, They do have the mountain. Okay, so that's not going to be wasted. Burning Tree Mountain. That's not the best. We might be stabilizing here. Sure looks like it. Another Wildling. I mean, I want to cast that, but I probably should just go for a bunch of Elves here with a Lead or a Winding Way. Lead would leave me with 3 mana. Yeah, I guess we just Lead. I'm not sure if there's a better one to do here. Well, I guess we'll do a casual draw 5. That seems okay. This card's very fair. All right, so I probably want to get Priest down so I can just do crazy stuff next turn. We already have blockers. I was going to say, like, it'd be nice to Vandal and stuff, but I think I just Priest and Quarian, because then we have Timberwatch. I could Quarian now to untap the Elves, but I only have, like, one of these to do as a 1-drop. I maybe could even attack with a Wildling, but I feel like if we don't lose, like, our Priest, we probably just win the game, and with Timberwatch Elf, I'm not sure how we do lose the Priest. So I think we just play it patient this turn, and then next turn we just win. All right, they play their Mountain, Burning Tree, and probably crack a Synth, I would guess. Yup, that hits a Galvanic Blast, but they no longer have Metalcraft. And of course, Timberwatch can protect whatever anyway. All right, they're going to attacks. So, I mean, I just block here, I block here. If they try to Galvanic something, it doesn't matter. I guess I could block, yeah, okay, they just concede. I was gonna say I could block one of the humans here with like a Priest, and then pump it. And then if they try to Galvanic anything in response, I could just Query Ranger on tap, repump. So, all right, that one worked pretty well. Of course, V2 Guy's the Inspector is a good blocker and gains life. Pulsum Rasa and Spinewood's Paladin. I mean, they're all life gains, so it seems fine. I think I saw something about taking out a bunch of Timberwatch Elves. Oh, you know, in fact, Derek bought me an Elves sideboard guide to go along with this. So let me just follow that so I know what I'm doing. Red Rally, we bring in the Monstrous Emergence. That seems crazy to me. And then the 8 other cards I mentioned. Okay, so I guess we bring in all of these and we take out all 4 Priests, Timberwatch, and Avenging Hunters. I mean, that makes some amount of sense. It feels like Priest maybe should stay in. Like, I understand it dies to a bolt and it's a 2-mana thing, but I guess we really do just shift to like a mid-rangey plan here. The Monstrous Emergence is still a little silly to me because it's like, you know, 2 mana to kill like maybe a 2/2, but all right, here we have Forest, Cycle, Generous, and then I can Masked Vandal. Maybe a land, maybe a Clockwork Percussionist, and then I have a Wildling. Yeah, I mean, it's not the best hand ever, but we've also cut a lot of the things that make our hands, like, absurd, like Priest of Titania, in exchange for these more reasonable draws. Another Quarian Ranger will be good, but I think there's no reason to not just do Generous Ent into Vandal. I mean, obviously, if they don't play any artifacts, I probably won't Vandal. Probably just, like, double Quarian or something. Just a Rally, no Emissary is nice. Vandal is just a good blocker, so I guess maybe I still want to do that. Ooh, but we get an Elves. Okay, so maybe I just Roost Seek, play a Finhorn Elves, and pass. If they don't do anything to this, we can get like a decent Hydra out. We could Pulse, you know, a number of things. Trying to play around and the Festivities, of course. I don't want to just run out every single one of these Quarian Rangers. They attack for 2. They are going to Chain Lightning the Elves. Totally fine by me. No artifacts. So I'd like a V2 Ghazi Inspector, to be honest. Another Generous Ent. I could play a Hydra, but it's only a 2/3. I think I'd rather Vandal just as a blocker, and I could Quarian Ranger, but I do want to play a Hydra as a 3/4 next turn. So I think I'm just going to Vandal and hold up this Generous Ent, which I'm going to cycle. Yeah, that's going to eat a Bolt. That's fine. They're going to swing for 2. I'll cycle an Ent. I guess this one can grab the Gingerbread Cabin. That's cool. So I can start doing busted stuff with that and Quarian Ranger next turn. So we'll just play the Hydra. If they don't have any artifacts for a Galvanic Blast, and if they want to trade, you know, a Bolt plus a Soldier, that's fine. I can always pulse it back if I want to. Epicure, discard a Mountain immediately. There's a Great Furnace. No attacks. Lead the Stampede. So I could Quarian Ranger, bounce the Cabin, replay it, hold up Pulse. It feels like we're kind of stable-ish, so I think I'm just going to go for a Lead the Stampede. See if I can get like one of those V2 Ghazi Inspectors or something as another good blocker. We do. And a Spinewoods and a Llanowar Elves. So a nice draw 3. Cast it. Exiling a Generous Ent. If I target itself, they could have a Bolt in response and I would lose the life gain and the creature. But if they don't have a Bolt right now, then it's going to actually make it so it survives a Bolt. So I think we just go for it. And if they have it, so be it. Yeah, nice. All right, now we have 2 4 toughness guys. I mean, I could maybe even attack. Again, I think I just win the long game here, so I'm not sure there's a reason to. On the off chance they find, you know, Synth into Rally into Bushwhacker or something. No attacks. Another Lead the Stampede. So there's a number of things we could do here, but I think since we didn't draw a land, I want to play a Quarian Ranger, bounce the Cabin, and so I might as well untap, attack with the Hydra so I can untap it. So this is the first time I'm going to be doing this, so do that, return a Forest, boom. So we can replay this, and then we'll just play a Paladin, because I think we could just go on the offensive, like, pretty immediately here. And they didn't even kill the Quirion Ranger at instant speed, so if they try to kill it now, I could bounce the cabin again. There's the end of the festivities, so we'll just do that. I mean, I could not, because I'd have an extra mana next turn, and I could do it with the Ranger, but I don't know. Extra food tokens seems decent. With the end of the festivities, they could bolt one of these guys, or even two of them, but it seems like it's going to be tough to get rid of all of them. They do take out the Paladin and pass. We have a cabin. We'll just go for a Lead the Stampede, get a Generous Scent, and a Finhorn Elves. Play that, and I think we just pass. There's not really a reason to play another 1/1 that could die to it and the festivities. This can already allow us to cast a Generous Scent next turn. I don't know how they possibly get through this. All right, well, we'll cast Land Grant. I don't think it matters at this point if they know what's in our hand. And I guess I'll actually cast the Spinewoods Paladin because it's got Trample, so it's a better attacker than Generous Scent, actually. And it also lets us crack a food here. They're just going to pass right back to us. We will crack a food. Swing with the Paladin. They take it. Cast a Generous Scent. Pass the turn. Crack a food. We'll swing with these three. And they take it. All right. Won the first match. This hand looks pretty good. If we're not disrupted, we have Fintorn into Priest into Avenging Hunter on turn 3. We're against Kid Renin, who often plays White Weenie, although I think they were playing Elves the last time that I saw them, which will make for an interesting mirror match. I think we have a pretty good hand for the mirror, because we have Priest and Timberwatch, which both pay us off for them having Elves. But then again, we're also on the draw here. They did mulligan to 5, though, and are going for a Winding Way. They are Elves with Spell Stutter Sprite. That's interesting. Okay, I think them missing a land drop and being down, with the Fintorn here, I think we're going to just skyrocket ahead of them. That was a very good draw. So Priest is tapping for at least 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus any Elves they play. So that's 10, 11. So we got 11 mana, which means I can cast everything in my hand. Vandal. Plus I can start with, I guess I start with a Winding Way. Obviously we don't want to play 1-drops because they have a Spell Stutter up, but this should be fine. We, of course, get a couple 1-drops. But actually, if I bait with the Fintorn Elves and they counter that, then I can Quirion, and that's even better. I don't even know if I need that much mana, but let's go for it. If they just let this through, then that's fine. So this taps for 7. Yeah. So here's an Avenging Hunter and a Timberwatch Elf. I could have played the Masked Vandal, but they could have like a Hydra or something that it could have more utility for next turn, or at some point. And obviously, I don't want to play the Quirion Ranger into their Spell Stutter, because this taps for green and this taps for blue is why they have Spell Stutter available. They're just going to flash it in. Maybe they have another one. Actually, I guess they're just wanted to take the initiative. That makes sense. I'm not too worried, because I'm trying to think what they could possibly have that's going to survive. Timberwatch for 8, plus Hunter, plus potentially Quirion. They could have another Spell Stutter for the Quirion, that is. There's a Timberwatch Elf. Mystic. All right, let's start with the Mystic, see if we can draw out another Spell Stutter. Same with the Vandal. And if not, we'll go for a Quirion. Well, looks like they do have it. Okay, good for them. We still have 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So this is lethal. They probably just block the Spell Stutter on like the Priest and then go to 1, I guess. Which I guess theoretically I could lose if they just get a Quirion Ranger, because they could untap this and I'll die. But what are you going to do? Put them to 1. I mean, Forge doesn't really matter, so I guess we'll scry. Land Grant, Hunter. Yeah, I guess if they have Quirion Ranger, we'll just lose to their Timberwatch Elf, being able to untap twice on blocked guys. They have a Lead the Stampede. We'll see if they find it. Birchlore, Spell Stutter, Well-Wisher, Masked Vandal. That is not going to do it, I don't think, unless they can just play enough Elves to make this 19 damage, but that seems unlikely. Sentinel, another Birchlore. They can hit for 14, and I guess if they had a way to like go to the trap, I could have died there. Surprisingly close, because all of our cards were powering up their cards. All right, sideboard says 4 Monstrous Emergence for 3 Sagus and the Cabin. So let's do that. All right, we have no lands and also no land grants, so we got to get rid of that. This is not amazing with no second land, but I think it's probably a keep. I mean, assuming they can't kill our Priest, which obviously they could with Monstrous Emergence, but they're playing a Rainbow sideboard, I would assume, which could mean they could have like Electricity and stuff or in the festivities, and I could be in some real trouble. But I think this is worth it just because, again, they're going to power up our cards. So do I get rid of the second Priest? I think I get rid of one of the 1-drops, because double Priest would allow my Hydra to go crazy. Start with a Sentinel. All right, land is a good draw. We'll do an Elves. Crashing Drawbridge is really scary. They only have 3 cards in hand because they also mulligan to 6. Another land is fine, so I probably Priest, because then I can drop everything next turn. Well, except for the Hydra probably. Or I could Timberwatch and I could still drop double Priest next turn. Depending on what I draw, I think I'm going to want to have the Priest out. So let's do this. The drawbridge is scary, especially because they could have a Priest that immediately taps, but maybe we'll be okay. They have a Birchlow Rangers. There's the Priest, tapping for 5, so I could be like a Hunter. Monstrous Emergence, a Generous End. Okay, not the worst, because all they have left is the Generous End. They can't cast it this turn. But obviously, whatever they draw, they have Priest for. Ooh, that's actually great. We can get rid of the drawbridge and play another Priest. That's a great draw. So we'll do that. Yes, exile this. They can still cast their Ent, but it can't attack right away. We get Timberwatch or maybe Hydra out. Hydra lead the Stampede. That's pretty good. Really glad we got rid of the haste, but Llanowar Elves and Sprites, all they got. That's totally fine. So you're going to just cast an Ent, I assume. Yeah. Another Vandal. Doesn't matter at the moment. I mean, I can't even take out a food because I have nothing in the grave, but I don't care to anyway. This taps for 6, so I have 10 mana. So I could just Hydra on Vandal for like +8. That's pretty good, but I probably want to have Timberwatch down because Timberwatch is too good as well. So I think we Timberwatch. This taps 4. I could still do +6 on this. It's enough to attack past the Ent. Okay, I was thinking I might want to wait a turn for the extra mana, but I think this is still plenty. We're going to get to hit for 7, and we have Timberwatch next turn, so it's 21, which is going to be lethal except for the food and blocks and stuff. They play Llanowar Elves, tap for 8. Okay, they drew another Generous Ent. Makes things harder, but I still have +8 on this, so I should still be okay. Well, sometimes you're just too lucky. All they have is a Spell Stutter, which can't counter anything. So I think there's no reason to do anything except for this. Hey, whenever I play against Elves, I feel like they always get this lucky, drawing the exact the Hydra at the right time, so don't feel too bad about it. So it's going to be 25 damage with the Timberwatch Elf. So they can survive, but not sure how they survive next turn. Block with double Ent. That absorbs 14 of it. Yeah, I still might as well pump for more damage. I don't think there's any way we can, without them having haste. If they still had the drawbridge, I wouldn't do this, I think, because theoretically they could get like their own Timberwatch Elves and pump and kill us, and a blocker could be good, but I don't think they're going to get that. So, all right, we won that match too. If I had like Llanowar Elves Priest, this would probably be the most beautiful hand ever, but as is, I think it's too slow. I guess I could cycle Generous Ent right away and then just go for a Winding Way. It is slow, but it's also so much value. I will, assuming I don't die in the first like 4 or 5 turns, I'll just have infinite value. You know, maybe we should keep it, actually. It's interesting enough. Also, Masked Vandal could get some value with Generous Ent right away. Look at that. I mean, this is actually probably the perfect hand against Jund, because not only do I get to Vandal away a bridge, but also Jund is one where it's going to go on pretty long. They have an Infiltrator. We'll cycle the Generous Ent, Land Grant. We're going to Vandal. Yes. I've only ever been on the receiving end of that. Definitely feels good, but it specifically feels good to not be the one losing that. That's the bridge. That's the important part here. Okay, we draw Forest. I don't really want to Land Grant and show them our hand yet, if we don't have to. Obviously, I would if I didn't draw land, but I think we just go for a Lead the Stampede then. I guess we're going to have to discard. That's fine. Actually, I could discard something and that feeds the Vandal. That's probably worthwhile then. I could Land Grant for the thing, but that doesn't change anything, and the Gingerbread Cabin's on the bottom, so I guess I attack. No, I don't need to attack. Let's just discard a Quarian Ranger. I don't know. Taking out another land next turn seems good. They play a Drossforge Bridge, deciding if they want to leave up like a Fanatical Offering for their land, I wonder. They probably should have. All right, we are going to have to grant here. So I want a Vandal. I think it's probably right to. That does mean the only other thing I get to play is a Quarian Ranger, unless I want to go for a Winding Way, but then I'm going to have to discard a bunch again, because I'm going to play Vandal, Grant for a land, Winding Way. So I'd be down to 5, but if I hit more than 2, I'm discarding. Well, I think we're doing this regardless. Taking out the green source again, keep them off those Chrysalis. We're definitely casting this, so we'll just show them the hand, get the Gingerbread Cabin, play that. I guess I'll attack. And yeah, I could Winding Way, but if I hit more than 2, I have to discard. I don't like that. Could just crack a food. I'd probably just play Quarian Ranger. It's not as mana efficient, which is usually something I'm very keen on, but it's going to be good, and it makes it easier for us to Winding Way next turn without discarding. Plus, it's going to be hard for them to start killing our creatures, seeing as they're probably going to need to be digging for lands. Maybe they've just drawn lands naturally, but yeah, it looks like they're going for the draw right away. Make sure they try to hit that land drop. Although obviously if they don't, that's even better for us. Looks like they might not. I'll go for a double block if they attack. Okay, they do find the bridge. Okay, so now I think I Winding Way to start. because I can still just play a Timberwatch Elf, but maybe I can find a Priest or something. Sagu, Hunter, Sagu. Okay, so I probably just want to hit another land drop. If I bounce a land here, I could play a Timberwatch, which is really good. But if I hit more land drops, it's easier to hit like Hunter next turn. Also get a bigger Hydra. I think we are just going for this. Play Findhorn. I think I'm going to even Roost Seek here. We have so much stuff to do. We still have 5 cards in hand, which costs, 3, 5, and X. And then also these, which can be so much more mana to put into stuff. So I think it's okay to just send those Sagu back into the deck. They have a Wildfire, getting a Forest. I guess getting Timberwatch down helps if they get a Krark without Death Touch at some point. I guess Hydra is also just for that, right? So I could like Hunter, but then if they just get enough artifacts with a Krark, wipe the board, Infiltrator, I'll be in some trouble. I guess the Wildlings are good for that. Maybe I should have kept one of them, but I still think I like getting the land here. They play a Drawsforge Bridge and a Refurb. Okay. I think I discard the Forest. I want the mana, but I also have 6 already. I can still just bounce something with the Ranger. Everything else is too valuable. This does make it harder to go for a Hunter if I wanted to. I could Hydra for 4. It's not the most impressive. I think I start with a Winding Way. We just got a Hunter. Despite the fact that we pulled a lot of lands out of our deck so far, we milled Forest, Land Grant. That's unfortunate. I could play a Hunter, but the fact that they can take the initiative is pretty rough. If I just play Timberwatch Elf, we're really susceptible to a Krark for just a couple, which I don't like. Kind of think I might just have to play into that, though. So let's do this. Untap, bounce the cabin, replay that. I don't really care about food, so I guess I just go for another Winding Way. All right, that one hits 4. I could have done that first and then tried to get the Priest down. That probably would have been better. If the Priest survived, I would just have a Nuts turn next. I don't know. It feels like we're very far ahead, but of course I know Krark is just devastating. They have a Lembas, Wellspring. I don't love them just playing a bunch of artifacts out too, because that just signifies they probably have the Krark. They're building up their artifact count for it. Okay, well, casting down the Timberwatch Elf is a good sign. No attacks. Another Hunter. I mean, I could just start playing like Nyxborn Hydras for, I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. I could just play +7 on this attack. If they don't get Krark with Death Touch, they're going to have to use 2 cast downs, and then I have more Hydras every single turn. I kind of think that might be the play. I just don't care about anything else in my hand. I just do this. I think we're going to go for that. So attack for 8. I mean, I guess if they have mana up next turn, they could just like have the Toxin without the Krark and Toxin this down, but I can also just put a Hydra on this Vandal, so they can't do that to both. I feel like we had a pretty good start slowing them down, and then we dirtled for too long, and I should have probably just been applying more pressure. Maybe I should have played this Hydra like a turn or two ago for even a couple mana less. They go for a Wildfire. Look at all the cards we've shown to them. 25 different cards. So yeah, they know about all the Hydras, 2 of the Avenging Hunters. They know basically our whole hand. They go for a Wellspring and a Lembas. Unless they have like untapped land here. I think they're just dead. Untapped land and Krark. Okay. Yeah, we have more Hydras and stuff to play. All right, we bring in 4 Monstrous and 1 Vitu-Ghazi for all the Timberwatches and the cabin. And we just try to Masked Vandal them twice again, I think, if we can. All right, we have turn 1 Mystic, turn 2 Roost Seek into Winding Way. It's probably good enough. I mean, if they kill our Mystic, we could be in some trouble, but they're not probably going to do that, especially because they're going to have only cast downs and Krarks to kill our stuff, usually. Maybe this is not fast enough of a start. I mean, we can like outgrind them, of course, which we just did, although it helped that we had the, disruption early. So it's kind of tough to know if we want to outgrind them or if we want to just go fast. But this hand looks okay. I mean, if we draw right, we could also Hunter on turn 3 or 4, and that's really hard for them to deal with if they don't have a Refurb immediately. All right, didn't really need another Hydra, but okay. They have a Gixian. We're going to Roost Seek. Part of me wants to play the Hunter, or not the Hunter. I can't do that, obviously. The Elves, because if I draw another land, then I could Hunter next turn. I could also Monstrous Emergence, kill the Infiltrator. More mana next turn seems good. I think I'm going to play the Elves. I might as well attack, too. I'm fine with this trade. I don't think they would be willing to take it. They have another Infiltrator, so generally I wouldn't be too scared of this because this is not often the start they want. They usually want to have a lot more of a late game with, playing Wellsprings and stuff like that early. But if they just go Krark, wipe the board, grow these to be like 5 power and kill us in 2 turns, that's going to be really bad. So I might need to Monstrous Emergence one of these. I do the land, so I could Hunter, but if I play Hunter, and they have a cast down, they take it. I could take it back. If they have a Krark, they would need to have 2 more artifacts, which they could, to be able to wipe the board and keep these guys alive. It's all pretty risky. I feel like it's probably better to just go for Winding Way. See what I hit. 1 Generous Ant, perfect. And then I think we'll just Monstrous Emergence kill one of these with a Generous Ant, and then sure, I'll attack. There's a Lembas. Scry to the top. Forest. They do have the Krark, and they're just going to go for it now, wiping the Mystics. That makes sense. Not the best for us, not necessarily the worst. I mean, I can get a land with the Generous Ent, or just a land grant. Okay, so I think I land grant here. I kind of want a Nyxborn Hydra, but that doesn't do much. I could just like cycle Generous Ent and land grant, and then Hunter next turn. If they have a cast down, it's pretty bad. I don't really want to show them what I have, though, until I have to, so I think I'm going to cycle the Generous, and we already have other big guys to play. I don't think I want to play this as a 2-3. It could hold this off potentially, but like, I don't know. That doesn't seem good enough. I guess it makes it better if I do Hunter next turn, which I guess I will want to. Yeah, I guess I should just play this. Like, it's big enough to block if they don't have anything else to sacrifice, but it can also chump block if they kill the Hunter, keep our initiative for a turn. Chris makes things harder, both because I can't block this and just it's another attacker. Sack right away for a Lembas or a Wellspring. There it is. Attack for 5. Llanowar Elves. Okay, so I could put this on here to make it a 4/5. That's not even very good. I guess I land grant, and then I could play a 4/5 Hydra, or I could enchant this to make it a 5/6. I guess that's probably a little better. Maybe. Blocks better anyway. They have a refurb. I think the Hunter is too much of a liability that I would rather keep the Elves and hope we can do something with that. But maybe I need to keep the Hunter because it actually does a little bit more of something. They have a Troublemaker Roof, I think, so I think we're dead either way. Yeah, okay. I think we're dead here. I guess I could have gotten like a Winding Way into a bunch of stuff, but yeah, that wasn't going to save us. Let's try to get a better early start. Nothing on turn 1, but then we have Priest, which is decent. Winding Way. Yeah, I guess I'll keep this one. Do I want to go for a land off of these right away? I don't think I need to. I have 3 lands here. I can still cycle the Generous Ent if I really want. If I cycle it and I get a Masked Vandal, of course, it's pretty good. I might want to cast it, but I guess we probably will want the land. Not if I draw a bunch more lands. Well, here's a Priest. See if they can kill it right away. Ideally not. They have a Terminate. Okay, pretty good. Well, Winding Way, hit 3 creatures, Elvish Mystic, pass. Obviously, these Quirions would be much better with that Priest, but they took a while to decide to kill it, so I assume that it might have come at a bit of a cost to play that. I don't know. Yeah, they decided not to use a Wildfire, for example. Open them up to be having the bridge get exiled, although that didn't happen, so not great for us. Okay. Hunter's a really good draw. I think I just slam that. I could Quirion Ranger first, right? Because then this is 4, and then I can untap this. I bounce a Forest, but then I get a Quirion Ranger down, which is probably just good. I guess I'm about to tutor up a Forest, so maybe it's not as good. I don't know. I'm sure there's a correct thing to do there, but I'm no Elves player. All right, well, they have to deal with like killing our creatures, plus also getting a way to take the initiative. We have a Hydra and a Wildling, so if they get a refurb, we can block those. Chris and Gixian aren't going to be big enough right at the beginning, so I mean, the Hunter was an incredible draw. I think that might help us win the game here. They have a Wellspring, and they just tapped 2. It looks like they probably have a cast down, maybe a Fanatical Offering, but I think they're going to have a cast down for the Hunter, so they realize they should wait until I choose a forge target. Probably should go on the Mystic. I think we do want to go on the aggressive side, so I don't think I want to scry here, but we're going to do this. I got a Generous Ent. So I could just play a Wildling. I don't think I'm going to Hydra this turn, so I think I might as well attack first, see if they want to cast anything down. There they go. And then, yeah, I think I go for the Wildling, which I could put a Hydra on, and they can't Krark it away. They're at 17. They're going to lose 5 next turn to the trap, so they're at a virtual 12. So I'm like 2 turns away from killing them. They have a refurb. So land grant lets us cast the Generous Ent without tapping the Mystic, or cast a bigger Hydra. I probably don't need both these Quirion Rangers. Okay, double refurb's pretty good. Do I want 1 Quirion Ranger? Yeah, I probably don't need this land grant. Land grant lets us... Yeah, I think actually the Rangers don't seem that necessary. We're just kind of going for the beatdown plan. We will trap them for sure. Llanowar Elves, yeah, so we'll go for the land grant now. And I think I just go for Hydra. +4, so this is 7, 10. And they pretty much have to... If they don't double block this, they go to 2. I guess they could have like a cast down for this mid-combat next turn. I think it's still probably best to do this and then swing with both. Like, I'd love for them to double block and trade here, because then they can't take the initiative, but I think their best bet is probably take it, try to find a removal spell to kill this mid-combat next turn, and they could chump this, take the initiative with one of these. Yeah. I mean, I think we're in a fine spot, but we definitely could be in a bad spot if they find that removal spell. But they've already used a cast down and a terminate. I would bet they probably have 3 more cast downs and maybe another terminate, or like go for the throw from the sideboard. But otherwise, since this is flying, it's not going to die to Krark. It could die to Toxin if they block here, but that would trample over for lethal. Even with the lifelink and the Lembas, it would still be lethal, unless they have like a Chrysalis or something. There's another Lembas. There's Krark. They're going to pass. Monstrous Emergence is interesting. So I could use that now on the Krark, which means they can't use it as a chump blocker. Because right now I assume they're going to want to chump block here, and they have a cast down for this. But if I do that, then I guess... No, that doesn't sound... I don't think that's necessary. Let's just go for attacks and see what they have. Pretty sure it has to be a removal spell for this. But they could chump, they could double block, or they could sack 3 things to kill this. They have a couple options, and I want to see what they do. I guess they could just block here and then sack the Wellspring. That works too. All right, we'll pass. Or maybe they're going to kill this and then try to sack 5 artifacts to kill the Hydra as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that could be interesting. They'd probably want to do it right here before damage. Otherwise, they're going to have to sack an extra, so they don't. So this is tough. Obviously, I want to play a Generous Ent. But now if they get Death Touch on the Krark, we are going to lose our guys. So I think I need to kill this Krark. So I'm going to do that with this Hydra. And now if they want to sack 5 artifacts, they can wipe the board. But they have to lose every single artifact they have, including their creature. And then my Elves can maybe get there if they can't, like, Chrysalis or something. We're very close. We haven't quite won by any means. They could also just let it happen, but then they have a Hydra they have to deal with. I think at minimum they should sack the Wellspring to kill off the Mystic. So it's probably that or everything. There's the Wellspring. And the Lembas. All right, they're going for it. All right, wipe the board. And we play an Elves. If we're lucky, they can't remove this or play a creature, and we can just take the initiative back with it. But they do get to scry 2 here. So that seems difficult to make happen. Top decking an Avenging Hunter would also be a great way to win. Well, it wouldn't immediately win us the game, but it'd be very, very good. They do scry 2 to the bottom. They're going to pass. We get a Forest. See if we can take that initiative. They have a Breath weapon. Okay. We'll play an Ent and see what they got. They're going to make a Treasure. They have an Infiltrator and another Infiltrator. Landscape. Okay, that's pretty good. Landscape plus Treasure means they can make these 4/3s. They don't have to chump. They can just trade one of them. And they have a Refurb, although they just tapped the Landscape when they probably wanted to sacrifice that, unless they have something for red or a green, like another Krark. But they do have a Refurb to chump now. Obviously, a Hydra would probably be our best draw, because then we just trample over. Avenging Hunter would still be very good. Generous Ent's not bad. I mean, we're attacking. Unless they have something with this mana, I think they really messed up by not leaving up this Landscape, because they could have double blocked. They'd be both 4/3s, which is 8 damage and 6 toughness, so I couldn't kill both. Whereas now, they either have to chump, which is fine, or if they want to go for like a triple block, actually eat everything. So there's no way they can really afford to do that. But I think they'd much prefer to have killed one of these Ents now that there's 2 of them. I don't know. They make a 4/3 next turn. Like, if we can't break through, they're going to go to the throne, and we might end up losing. They're also down on time, but 5 minutes is still plenty to finish the game. They have a Krark. They only have 1 artifact, but they could grow these, but they would kill the skeleton. Yeah, they're just sacking it right away to an Eviscerator's Insight. That makes sense. They have a bridge, 1 untapped, or 1 unknown card. They do have the Landscape up this time. That's no good. So I attack. They could make these... they could definitely go for the double block, and then they just chump. Yeah, it's probably best, but what are we going to do? Not attack? Not really an option. It's still an okay trade for us. Plus we get to eat this, so they could be down to just 1 Infiltrator against 1 Ent, which will be bigger. But they're going to get the Throne, which is pretty good when they find a Chrysalis. Okay, they're not going to chump, which means they have a cast down. That's pretty lucky. Terminate. Okay, well now we lose. That's unfortunate. They definitely drew better than we did. They should have certainly chumped still, because it doesn't matter if they kill it, but also theoretically if I had like a protection spell, like a Hexproof, I would have just won there. Not something that usually Elves plays, but you never know. All right, they did hit Chrysalis or a Krark. It doesn't really matter. They can attack for 9. I'm dead next turn. There's nothing I could probably draw. Yeah, I mean, if we had like, if they were at 2 without us having trapped them, and Avenging Hunter would let us go to a trap maybe, but Hunter just draws us another card. That's not going to be lethal. We drew a Fyndhorn Elves anyway. I mean, I guess I might as well. We have one more turn because this is only 14 damage. 13 damage. But even if I Winding Way into 4 creatures, I don't think I can survive. I guess theoretically I could draw out the 2 minutes they have maybe, but that seems unlikely as well. Although they are just kind of wasting time. But there's a Lumbus, Scry to the top. I mean, it's probably best if I just chump. Seeing as time is probably the only way I could win, but they just sack something to get my blocker out of the way. Yeah, if it's a priest, and then attack. I guess sacrificing something kills the skeleton, but it grows the infiltrator, so I'd still be dead. Insight the skeleton. 2 counters on the shaman. Biggest shaman I've ever seen. 6/6. Slagwood's Bridge. Sack a Lembus. Attack for lethal. If only I had a moment's peace. Make them take 2 extra turns they didn't expect. Alright, this one is bad. This one is good enough. Pretty difficult to get rid of something. Obviously, it's not forests or priest. It could be a card draw spell. Could be a masked vandal. Could be hunter, but that doesn't seem right. I think it's vandal. I don't have a way to get a creature in our yard, and also there's no guarantee it'll be relevant, although I'm sure it'll be Grixis Affinity or something now, but 1 drop would be our best draw. That's a good one. We have a Lorien revealed for an Aquifer, so Dimir Fairies is my guess. Just a little more popular than Dimir Terror at this exact moment. And there's an Augur for an Agony Warp. I could get a Winding Way through a counterspell. I think I need to go for the Priest and just hope they don't have a Snuff Out, or a Swamp, I guess. Untapped Swamp, that is. But I'm sure they probably do have the Snuff Out. Oh, never mind. I could play an Elves. They probably spell stutter it, but then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana, and I can like Hunter. That's pretty good. All right, if they don't spell stutter it, I mean, I guess Hunter's worse if they don't have a spell stutter. If they just have a counter spell, which means Hunter's not getting through. Okay, but Winding Way, yeah, so I can Winding Way here, and they can counter that. They don't have a counter for that either, or they know it's bait. All we get is a Timberwatch off, so it doesn't matter. Untap this, bounce a forest, replay a forest. So I guess I can Timberwatch plus lead the Stampede. They might still have a counter spell. They just expected that if they counter this, maybe I would Hunter. I don't know. I think I'm gonna lead the Stampede. Well, we drew 4. That's pretty good. I should have maybe done the Timberwatch first, because if that resolved, this would tap for 1 more mana. I don't want a Priest and Llanowar, because I feel like part of why they might be letting this resolve, maybe they don't have a choice, but maybe they have a Suffocating Fumes. So I at least want to do the Timberwatch here, which survives the Fumes. But maybe I should do a Priest, because they can Agony Warp the Priest, and they couldn't Agony Warp both of them, but I think you got to hedge a little bit. Augur. They find a Dispel. That is completely useless against us. Again, another match I'm very familiar with from the other side. They are just going to warp the Timberwatch. I think that makes sense, but it's going to leave them in some trouble because I get to just do everything now. Oh, land grant's pretty good too. Yeah, so I'm just going to grant for a forest, play that. Llanowar Elves, Priest, and I don't even care if they go for a Fumes now because I just have Priest, tap for a Hunter, grab a forest, untap Priest, and 6 mana. I could go for another Hunter, but I think I'd rather just get a Generous Ant, which blocks flyers. It's more expensive, so it's more mana efficient. And also the Hunter, theoretically, if they could somehow take the initiative here, Hunter can get it back later. But, like, what are they going to do? All right, we bring in Vitu-Ghazi, Spinewoods, and Monstrous Emergence. Take out Timberwatch, Vandal, Cabin, and Fyndhorn Elves. Can't keep this. Can't keep this. All right, we have Quirion. I mean, this is not very good. Quirion doesn't do anything. I think I have to mulligan this. We could get a better hand if we get like a Winding Way we can resolve that draws us 4, but this is just like terrible. Like if this was a 1-drop that tapped for a mana, maybe, because I could do this on turn 3. I think I'm gonna go down to 4. Okay. I mean, keep Forest, Land Grant, Priest, and Mystic, I think, and just hope we draw into the right stuff and they don't kill our guys. I mean, we're surely dead, but what are you going to do? Mystic, pass. Cycle a Lorien for an island, and they're just going to snuff out the Mystic, which I think in general is not the best play. I think it's okay here because I'm so low on resources that, like, taxing that is pretty good. I did just draw a Winding Way, though, so I could play a Priest, but I think that's not as good as just trying to make sure this resolves. Unless they have a Spell Pierce or an Envelop, it should. And if I draw... Okay. We're probably dead then. I should probably just Land Grant now. It tells them I have a Priest, but it also makes it so it doesn't get countered. If that Winding Way had turned up 4 creatures, I think I would have a legitimate shot, because I mean I'd have as many cards as they do. The fact that it turned up only 1 is pretty bad. It is one that could help us like stabilize against attackers, but it's not great. They found a Lorien. We get another Priest. I guess I should Priest if I have any shot at winning this. I could go for an Inspector to block. Maybe I should and just go for a longer game. I mean, I probably have to do a slightly longer game to be able to win here based on what's in my hand. But they cast it down, so it doesn't really matter. Probably a Ninja here. No? Okay. Not the worst then. Another Augur. Brainstorm. Hunter. Well, Priest can maybe get me to a Hunter next turn, which could be good. If it resolves and they have no removal yet, etc., etc. Inspector now blocks 1, but doesn't even block both, so they could still go for Ninja, so it doesn't even really matter. Landscape, cycle away, or fetch away there. Brainstorm, snuff out for the Priest. Attack for 2. Fyndhorn Elves, hope it doesn't get spell stuttered. It did. I did Fyndhorn first because if it resolved, then I could actually use Inspector to put a counter on it, and I'd have 2 blockers for the Augurs, but oh well. I also just get to tap out for a draw 3 here, which is pretty good. Swing for 1. Can't even plot the Paladin. Yikes. They cast another Lorien revealed. Snuff this guy out. All right, let's go to the next game. If I don't mulligan to 4, or if I do and my Winding Way actually hits a couple of cards, we might have a shot. They really, like, considering we mulligan to 4, I don't know if they mulligan at all. They didn't, and yet they were, like, lowish on cards pretty quickly, partially because they, like, used the Snuff out on the Mystic and stuff. If we hit 3 or 4 cards off of that Winding Way, I absolutely think we could have won that game. All right, this one looks good enough. It's not the best thing ever, probably. Like, Quirion Priest is insane, assuming they don't get snuffed out. But, I don't know. I feel like it's probably better to start with a 1-drop. Obviously, Quirion Range is a 1-drop. A 1-drop that can tap for mana. A Llanowar Elves, etc. But if these both don't die, then turn 3 Hunter and, you know, insane stuff from there. Start with the Ranger. Aquifer. Swing for 1. Priest. Pass. Agony Warp on the Priest. Unfortunate. If Futugazi Inspector, I could play that. It's good preemptively for when I hopefully get the Hunter. It can't currently collect evidence. It's also just a blocker. I think we just cast it. I'm gonna wait on the Roost Seek. That might be a bad idea, because if they hold up mana and they could spell stutter the Roost Seek, that's not great. But I figure if I drew a land, I would want to have this. But I think we're gonna Winding Way. If they want to counter it, then I can go for my Roost Seek. And if they don't want to counter it, that's fine. Actually, I don't even need a Roost Seek, because next turn I can just use this to bounce a forest and Hunter anyway. That is if I want to walk directly into a counterspell. But if I don't, maybe I just go for the Saga Wildling instead. Okay. Because of that Ranger trick, I think we're not going to waste the Wildling. They Bojuka Bog us. Oh no. Generous Ent. Okay, I don't actually care about the untap being like Vigilance here, so I'm going to just do this. Cast the Wildling, so that if they counter it, I know I can attack with the Ranger. Whereas if they don't, they might spell stutter to block the Ranger. I guess that's not the worst thing ever either, but not necessarily something I want. They're going to Brainstorm, looking for a counter spell, potentially, or just a kill spell. They are going to counter it. Kind of aggressive. Because of the Brainstorm, I kind of think they don't have another counter spell, maybe. Maybe we can get the Hunter through next turn then. We're also dealing them a little bit of damage. Like, it's not a ton, but it's not inconsequential either. Another Quirion Ranger. Well, I think for the same reason we're going to do this again. I'm just going to go for the Hunter. Plus, if it resolves, I might actually just want to not attack so that they can't spell stutter and, like, take the initiative. Okay, they have the counter spell. So be it. Swing for 2. Island. They're going to go for a Lorien. Another Hunter would be a great draw. Or I wish I could cast this Generous Ent, but unfortunately, I can only go up to 5 mana here. Attack for 2. I mean, I think I'm going to play these and just hope. Try to get around Spell Stutter and hope they don't draw a Suffocating Fumes or an Arms of Vidar. Another Lorien. Okay, they have a ton of cards, but not anything else. Mystic. Play a Generous Ent. I think we're just going to swing with the team. They have a Sprite. I'm fine with them going for a trade here. I could bounce a forest to untap this Elves so that I could play the Mystic. I think that might be worth it. Just because if they're doing that, I feel like they don't have a Suffocating Fumes or an Arms of Vidar, at least not one they can afford to play. In which case, I just want, like, the chip damage I've done all game has actually added up. They're at 7 now, and I've only hit them with 1-power creatures, so every little 1-power creature does matter now. They have an Augur, turns up a Brainstorm, Fairy Seer, scry 1 to the top, Sagu Wildling. So I have to be doing this stuff pre-combat, because if we attack with the Elves and they die, then I'm not going to be able to cast the Wildling. So let's just do this. Cast a Wildling. That resolves. So I want to attack with everything, but then they get a free block on like this, but they could take as much as 3 damage, which could be pretty relevant, getting it closer to the Wildling being lethal. I think we're just swinging with everything. They have so many cards that they are going to outpace us if this game goes much longer. We really need it to end as quickly as possible. They do Brainstorm. They might find a kill spell for like the Ent, but it's also really hard for them to use a Snuff Out at this point. Like they could, especially on an Ent, which is going unblocked, so they definitely have something for it. But a Snuff Out puts them to 1 here. Okay, and that means I have 3 lethal attackers. Sack their Landscape, Thorn of the Black Rose. So they're going to have a Spell Stutter to chump, or maybe just a kill spell for the Wildling. Can't really attack with anything on the ground then. I was hoping for a Hydra, and I didn't draw it. Yup, just the Spell Stutter. See, if we had Trample there, we would just win. If they kill Wildling, I think we lose. They have another Lorien, another Augur. They're looking. It's a Brainstorm, but they probably have another Spell Stutter to chump, or they're just hoping to draw something from the Monarch. That's a Hydra. I'm pretty sure that means that they can't, unless they have like a null and like a 1-mana kill spell, they shouldn't be able to counter this and also chump this. And they can't Snuff Out. All right, that was really close. We did top deck exactly what we needed at the right time. All right, last round here. Hand looks pretty good. On the play with the Fyndhorn Elves into a Priest, into Winding Way, Hydra. Seems all right. Start with the Elves. We're against more Rally, it looks like. Cycle Generous Ent. Here's the question. Do I go for Priest, knowing it's more likely to die, or just double Elvish Mystic Fyndhorn Elves, knowing they're probably not playing in the festivities? Because that allows me to have 5 mana next turn, whereas if I Priest, I could have a lot more, but chances are I'm going to only have 3. I think it's better to go with the 2 1-drops, actually. If they do have in the festivities in their main deck, I will concede. No, not really, but that will be bad. Well, never mind. It's Cycle Storm. I should have played Priest. Can we race Cycle Storm? This seems tough. It would have been easier if I started with Priest. We still get to play an Avenging Hunter this turn, though. Okay. It would have been way better, because I could have played Mystic, Elves, tap Priest for 4, and then the Elves, and played Hunter, and then still done all this, and I'd have a Priest down. And the next turn I could Hydra for 1,000,000, but I think this is still okay. Maybe not. It's going to probably be a turn 5 win from us, which means they have 2 turns to go off, and that's probably going to be enough for them. Because let's see, we get to Forge. Yeah, they cycle a bunch of stuff. There's no world where we can win this turn, I don't think, unless we draw our double strike spell. Forge onto Hunter. We have 10 damage on board. Land Grant, might as well. Gingerbread Cabin, why not? So we have 10 damage, so that's a 2-turn clock, not to mention Trap, which means I don't have to Hydra, because I could Hydra, and it would be 12 damage, but that doesn't change anything, so I might as well Winding Way and see if I turn up anything else relevant. Like a Masked Vandal actually would matter. I didn't get a Masked Vandal. I got a Wildling and another Priest. So I could play 2 Priests, which makes me have 1,000,000 mana next turn. That doesn't really matter. I don't think the food is going to matter, but theoretically it could. And the extra damage here is so not going to matter. So I think we attack for 8, and we leave up a food, which I'm not expecting to be relevant. I'm expecting to lose, but it could matter. Now, if I had played the Priest on turn 2, turn 3, I would have had all this stuff out. This next turn, I would have had Priest. I could have Hydra'd for 4. I mean, let me just do this and give them the F6 value, or give us the F6 value. So last turn, I'm trying to figure out if we could have won. If we'd Priested on turn 2, we would have had all of this on turn 3. So on turn 4, last turn I would have untapped with this Priest. So we would have had an additional 4 mana. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I could have played Hydra for 9. That would have been 16 damage. That would not have been lethal. Not until our upkeep. So I don't think it made a difference. Would have been a little more damage. It would have been a better play knowing that they're Cycle Storm, but I think I made the better play thinking that they were, mono red, which is probably why they start with a Great Furnace, if they have the black mana, is because it can throw us off a little bit, which is smart. Anyway, they're comboing off. We'll let you know if they kill us. Unsurprisingly, they got there. I don't think our start was going to be fast enough no matter what. Also unsurprisingly, Cycle Storm is not in our sideboard guide. Obviously, we're bringing Fairy Macabres, and Emergence doesn't do anything. I guess I could kill a Page, but that's not good. Spectres, no. Pulse, no. Spinewoods, I don't think so. guess we're all about that speed. So like wildlings are slow. I guess the life gain from the gingerbread cabin doesn't matter. Clearly we've been able to cut it in other matches. And then wildling is, yeah, just not going to hit hard enough. Maybe we do those. We have a Mystic into a Priest, into an Avenging Hunter or a Timberwatch. I mean, I don't think we can have much of a faster start. I guess the only question is, would I prefer a hand with Masked Vandals and Fairy Macabres for disruption? I would, but am I going to turn away a hand like this? It's basically the hand I had last game that we knew was too slow. I mean, we can't go down to 4 or anything. I guess if we had one card draw spell, maybe I could bank on finding one of those. I think I'm going to mulligan. We just tried this hand and it was too slow. So let's try something different. So we have the Vandal, but we have no way to put a creature in our graveyard. Otherwise, this hand is pretty bad anyway. So let's go down again. All right. We have a Lead the Stampede. We have the Generous Scent. We have the Fairy Macabre. We'll keep this one. The problem is Fairy is not amazing in this matchup because we can only get 2 cards, and that's not often enough. But we'll do what we can. Get rid of the Hydra, and I guess the Ent. So we have more mana with these, and we have a Lead the Stampede. Getting rid of the Ent means we don't have the ability to Masked Vandal them, though. Not yet, but I think that's still the play. We really needed like that opening hand with a Fairy Macabre or a Vandal. That's what we need, is like that level of speed, the reliable, what was that, turn 4? No, I guess turn 5 win. Or I guess with the right draw, we could have a turn 4 win with like Priest, Quirion, and a Giant Nyxborn Hydra. We do get the Vandal, of course, which I don't have an Ent for. I guess I could discard Fairy Macabre and then go for a Vandal. That would work. But I mean, let's start with this. Quirion, like we might as well wait a turn and get the Fairy Macabre to exile a couple creatures, and then we can do it. Fyndhorn, Priest, Timberwatch. Those are okay. No Ent is fine. I would have liked something that cycled for land, but it's fine. They go for a Carabid, and then a Page right away. So I guess I'm getting rid of Page, although that means I'm only cobbing away 1 thing. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. So I guess I'm probably playing Priest plus Vandal. I mean, yeah, this is basically a land, so I might as well get rid of Page. So untap, bounce, Priest. I could play Masked Vandal, target this, and maybe they respond by discarding a Page and I can exile that, but that seems less likely. But I do want to get rid of it. All right, we're going to do this. I think this is the best value we can get. Get rid of the Carabid and then Vandal away the Page. All right, they didn't have another Page in response, so that's something. I guess we'll attack for 1. We slowed them down a little bit. Cycle a Street Wraith. Yeah, I would have liked them to have cycled that before, so I could exile it 2. Healer. No land drop is decent. Winding Way. So how much mana do we have? 4, 8. I guess Fyndhorn Elves is a ritual because Priest taps for an extra twice. So this is 10, 11, 12 mana. So I probably just Hydra and kill him next turn. Or I could Winding Way, and theoretically I could hit more creatures. If I hit another Quirion Ranger, I could maybe even kill him this turn. I think that's worthwhile. Let's go for a Winding Way. I can still probably kill him next turn, even without the extra couple damage in the Hydra. Priest, Hunter. So, yeah, we can kill him next turn for sure. We do this. We tap for 1 here. Untap Priest, bounce Forest. Play Forest. Play Priest. This taps for 7. And I could Hunter, or I could Hydra, but I think Hunter's probably better. I guess we waste a couple of mana this way. Unless they sided in like a removal spell, though, like we just have uber lethal on them next turn with everything we got. So we'll see if they can do their thing instead. They go for a Baron Moor. Untapping with only 2 creatures in their graveyard and 2 mana on board is a good sign for us, but it doesn't mean we've won. It just is decent. There's 2 Street Wraiths to help them out. Dark Ritual, Rowan's Grim Search. If this bins like 4 creatures, it's going to be really bad. It binned 2. That's not the worst. They're Grim Searching and no mana left. They have to have a Lotus Petal then, or a land drop, I guess. Lotus Petal. But they also binned another 2 lands. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. Okay. They're skating by. They're like definitely getting pretty medium, like Rowans and stuff like that. But they're more than halfway through their deck. I definitely think that the chance they whiff is very low at this point. Songs, Lotus Petal, Lotus Petal. They haven't even cast a single Reaping. So unless they just don't have one, yeah, we're gonna be toast, I think. Yeah, they just literally let a resolve, cast 2 stingers, and then they can just cycle 10 times. All right, we are dead. Seems like a bad matchup for sure. Just 1 turn too short on average of beating them. I even used the Macabre not as effectively as I could have, but I think taking away the Page was worth it. But I feel like we just need something stronger than a Macabre. Well, that was my Elves League. We were able to get a 3-2, which is pretty good. I think that Jund match was extremely close, so almost thought we were going to get the 4-1 there. I mean, obviously that was earlier. Psycho Storm was not really close, Yeah, it was like we were only a turn off, but they just needed to fully whiff both times, and that didn't happen. So the list is very powerful for sure. Priest Quirion is a pretty strong combo. Being able to Masked Vandal the opponent's lands also feels pretty good. And yeah, I think a lot of the improvements over the last year or so, Gingerbread Cabin being added, Monstrous Emergence being added, Spinewood's Paladin, stuff like that, I think has made the deck a little bit more resilient and have that somewhat transformative sideboard where you take out Priests and Timberwatch Elves and just go for like a mid-range beatdown plan. And I think that's pretty sweet. So I hope everyone enjoyed, including Derek. Thanks for watching. Thanks so much to my supporters. If you want to support me on a monthly basis, you can join my YouTube memberships, which allows you to get early access to my videos. Thanks to my current $10 and up supporters, Howard Granger, Halcaz, DJ Vinyl, Paladillin C, Blackjack Davey, Max, and someone you know, PK. I really appreciate the support, and I will see you all next time.